So hello everybody. In this video I'm going to explore this topic: why have symptoms got worse? It can be frustrating when this happens, especially when you don't know why your symptoms have got worse. So in this video I'm going to explore possible explanations for why symptoms have got worse, and number two, what to do about it. And what I share is shared with love. You have to discern what resonates. There may be other factors that I'm not going to talk about that might be relevant: nutrition, side effects of medication, etc. So use your judgment. If you are joining me live, feel free to say hello in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling. If you're watching replay, put hashtag replay. Also feel free to share. Let me know where you are in the world, how you're feeling right now. And I want to start by just inviting you to pause for a moment, and I'll give you a moment to say hello if you wish to. But when you're ready, as long as it's safe for you to do so, I invite you to close your eyes. I invite you just to take a breath, breathe in through your nose, as long as that's comfortable. Breathe into your belly, breathe out of your nose. As you breathe in and out, I invite you just to allow your out breath to be a little longer than your in breath. When we do that, it activates our parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of the parasympathetic nervous system that supports the body's healing. So as you breathe in and out, I invite you just to breathe in that oxygen. As you breathe in, you might imagine it as a colour. Just imagining as that oxygen enters your bloodstream, it starts to circulate around your body, nourishing your cells. I invite you to consider that when we activate the parasympathetic healing state, important changes happen in the body. Excuse me. Your body excuse me, I got a little tickle. Your body starts to activate the healing response. What a time to start coughing. So anyway, I invite you just to allow your mind, your body, and your physiology allow your mind, your body, and your physiology to relax, soften, and let go. I invite you to consider that you can activate this pause. Whenever you choose. So knowing you can do that, I invite you to just bring yourself back. You can carry on listening with your eyes closed if you wish, and open them whenever you're ready. So sorry about that little coughing fit. That was beautifully timed. So a couple of comments in the chat. Inez says hi. Hello, Inez. And Margaret says, hello, I'm in the middle of a huge relapse. Sorry to hear that. what I invite you to consider, Margaret, is your language. Okay, just something to think about. If we say I'm in a huge relapse, what is that predicting for tomorrow and the next day? And I completely understand, because I said exactly the same when I was experiencing ME/CFS. What would it be like to just say, currently I'm experiencing a lot of symptoms, okay? And that makes it very present tense, okay? And for me, it opens the door to the possibility of things might be different tomorrow, the next day, even in an hour's time. So Innie says, so sorry to hear that, Margaret. So just something to think about. So if you don't know me, my name is Simon Pimenta. I make videos for people dealing with chronic health conditions like ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID. And I explore holistic approaches, mind-body approaches, and practical strategies to help people move forward. So if you like these videos, do subscribe, do hit the notification button, leave a comment. Your subscription, notification, hitting that button, and your comments help other people find this video. So if you do subscribe, thanks in advance for doing that. So let's get stuck into it. The first thing I want to talk about, the first factor that can exacerbate symptoms, is stress. So stress results in nervous system dysregulation. And chronic stress has a profound effect on the body's capacity to heal, okay? So it's really important that if you are experiencing symptoms, I'll talk about this in a moment, that we are aware of how we're responding to our symptoms, okay? Stress can be physical, acute physical, chronic physical. It can be psychological, so emotional, mental. I also say it can be spiritual, and I'm not talking about religion here. I'm really just talking about our operating system. So whether we're kind of have installed an operating system in our brain that operates from fear or trust. And there were times when I had ME/CFS that I was definitely operating from fear a lot of the time. And what I understood, or came to understand, is this was making it really hard for my body to heal. All right. Now, stress, if we break it down a bit more, can be that we're triggered by events. It could be the news. If you're a highly sensitive person, which many people with chronic conditions, I believe, are, then we can be really triggered by stories in the news. You know, I remember hearing a story of something, the plight of this British woman, and I won't go into the story, but it's kind of stayed with, that happened years ago, and it's kind of stayed with me. And sometimes I dwell on the unfairness of her situation, and I, you know, would find that very upsetting. All right. So some people are affected by, you know, the news. Let me know in the chat. Can you relate to that? You know, some people can read the news and just not think about it, but other people are deeply affected, okay, because some people are highly sensitive, some people are quite sensitive, some people are average, some people are insensitive, some people are very insensitive, okay. So Margaret says, I just talked to my ME specialist yesterday, and he said that this is another post-viral attack, and all he can recommend is pacing for 6 months. I was so upset. I just don't have the time. Oh, bless you, Margaret. I understand that, but I'll keep talking, and you know, consider what I'm sharing, and think about how what I'm sharing can help you. So sorry, and Anne saying also in the midst of relapse, now going on to third month. Really sorry to hear that. My question to you on this first aspect that I'm talking about is, what would you say your, let's say, calm score is on a scale of 0 to 10? If I was measuring your calm score, I completely understand, you know, that symptoms can be upsetting, frustrating. But if you were to if I put a device on you that was measuring your calm, what score would it give me out of 10 for 0 being not very calm and 10 being extremely calm? What number would it give me? What number would it give me? When I had ME/CFS, there were times when I was lying in bed stressing, and this just kept my body in that sympathetic arousal, which literally puts the brakes on healing. So Margaret says, much better to think of it as a symptomatic day, but it is really hard. Yeah, I completely understand that. It's not necessarily easy the first time you do that, okay? But consider what is it going to be like the 1,000th time you just say to yourself, and as I say, I'm going to talk more about this in this video, but what would it be like the 1,000th time you say to yourself, okay, I'm experiencing this symptom, but I am safe right now. And Margaret says calm meter 2. Okay, so there's potential to increase that, and I'd invite you to consider how could you get that from a 2 to a 3. Okay, what could you do? I'm really happy to share resources. I've got some guided relaxations. I've got some simple relaxation techniques. If you'd like them, you can comment relax in the chat and I will share them with you. Okay. So we can also be triggered by other people, and we can also be triggered by ourselves, by being self-critical, by being unforgiving, for example. Again, let me know in the chat. Does that resonate? Are you very compassionate towards yourself? Are you self-critical? Are you unforgiving? This generates more stress, okay? So that's the first thing I want to talk about, is stress. The second thing is ignoring our body, okay? I'd like you to consider that your body is an incredibly intelligent tool, okay? I'm trained in something called the Mind-Body Reconnect, and we talk about the two intelligences that we have. One is our emotional intelligence, and that comprises of information that we get from our heart, our gut, and parts of our brain, the more primitive part of the brain. And this emotional intelligence will send us signals, which include sensations, symptoms, and emotions, to get our attention. Okay, if we're ignoring our body, if we're ignoring our emotions, the sensations, if we're not feeling those emotions, sensations, not processing them, because we're very good at suppressing and repressing our emotions, excuse me, and therefore we're not taking inspired action, for example, not speaking up when someone's crossed a boundary, then instead of having a release of those emotions and some resolution, they get stuck in the body. And I haven't been coughing all day and just started having this tickle. So these emotions, these sensations get stuck in our body and this creates tension in our muscles. Okay, literally causes dis-ease in the body. And that dis-ease can lead to disease if it's chronic, if it's over a long time. And the muscles, one of the things Peter Levine talks about, the muscles are actually kind of locking in our emotions. This takes up huge amounts of energy. Okay, so a lot of energy is going into suppressing, repressing those emotions. So Margaret says, when I try to meditate or relax, I create to-do lists in my head and I get myself more frantic, frustrating. Okay, so Just thinking about that. One thing is, obviously, if you're doing meditation and thinking about to-do lists, then in that moment you're not meditating. Okay. Meditating is a very, very simple practice, and one really simple example of that is just focusing on your breath. And as you breathe in, you say to yourself, breathing in. As you breathe out, you say, breathing out. I have made a video where I talk about meditation and how to respond to our thinking, so I'm happy to find the link to that, pop it below this video. So if you'd like that video, put the word put the word 3 thoughts, and that will remind me of what we're talking about. Okay. But thank you for sharing that, Margaret. Okay. And the other thing I would say actually is, if you like my timeout relaxation, this is something you can do for 1 minute. And I've had clients who say to me, I can't relax, I can't meditate. They've done this for 1 minute and they say, oh, actually, I feel more relaxed. All right. So I'll keep going. So as I say, these emotions, sensations can get stuck in our body and create a lot of tension. Not listening to our body, another way of doing that is we push through. And this takes me to the next point, point 3, which is our perceptions can drive our symptoms. So the way we respond to an event via the way we perceive that event, the way we think about the event, is going to affect the way we feel. So I talk about the difference between authentic emotions, that's what our emotional brain generates, and they're instant, okay, and they're honest. And we also have what we call thought generated emotions. So we have a thought, and then that leads to an thought generated emotion or feeling. Okay. So for example, if I'm experiencing a symptom and I say to myself, this is bad, this is dangerous, I'm never going to get well. Am I ever going to get well? Often we ask that question at some level, we're answering it saying, no, I'm not going to get well. This is going to cause stress. Okay. So that is going to increase the symptoms. Okay. So we experience a symptom. We have a thought about that symptom. We say, oh no, this is terrible. That results in thought generated emotions. That is going to increase and drive those symptoms. So we get stuck in that loop, okay, which is going to prevent the body from healing. It's going to slow down healing. So it's really important we get off that loop, okay? And those thought-generated emotions, for instance, anxiety, I'm anxious because I believe that I'm not going to get well. That is one way of responding to symptoms, and there are other ways, okay? You know, another example of a thought-generated emotion is I'm worried what people think. So let's say, I made a short video about this today. You know, if I'm out with a friend, I start experiencing symptoms and I say to myself, oh, I should go now, but my friend will think I'm a bit lame, so I'll stay. I did that many times when I had ME. I sat there just ignoring my symptoms, and it just didn't feel good. It just exacerbated that feeling of dis-ease. And let me know in the chat if that's something that you've done, that you've experienced. Okay. And this can result in coping adaptive behaviors. So for example, if I ignore my body because I don't want my friend to think I'm a wimp, then I'm now moving into people pleasing. I'm kind of pleasing them, keeping them happy at my expense. Okay. So the fourth thing I want to talk about is neuroplastic pain. Okay. So Margaret says, I watch 3 thoughts frequently. Okay. Really helps get off my hamster wheel of negative reinforcement. That's great that you found that video, Margaret. Thanks for letting me know. So yeah, I will pop the link below this video so other people can find it. So what is neuroplastic pain? It refers to pain that arises not from tissue damage or injury, but from changes in the way the nervous system processes pain signals. And it occurs due to the brain and nervous system becoming overly sensitive or stuck in a pattern of amplifying pain signals, even when there is no ongoing physical harm. Okay, so this is a result of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself. And this can result in us having an expectation of pain, and our expectation can drive the pain. There's a very interesting book by a chap called David Robson where he talks about the expectation effect, and I've made a video on that. Did I link it? I'll check later. I think I might have linked it below this video if you're watching on YouTube. So the brain starts to associate pain with particular situations, events, or experiences. I had a client, for example, who had pain as a result of a car accident 20 years previously. And in a moment, I'll talk about what happened when we worked together. So they're the four areas that I just want to talk about. Stress, ignoring the body, our perceptions, and neuroplastic pain. Okay, so let's talk about some solutions. So first thing is to understand is that neuroplasticity can work against us, but it can also work in our favor. As I say, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change with use. Okay, the brain's pain pathways can be retrained and rewired, and repetition is the key. Okay, let me repeat that. Repetition is the key. So if I practice, as I was talking about earlier, if I respond to symptoms by saying, oh no, this is bad, this is terrible, if I keep doing that, it's going to be really easy for me to respond in that way. I'm wiring my brain to make it easier to generate panic and alarm. Okay? If every time I notice a symptom, I pause, I take a breath. If we've got time, I'll share a little strategy with you. But really simply, if every time I notice a symptom, I pause, I take a breath, I have a quick look around the room, I recognise there's not a tiger, i.e. there's not an imminent threat, and I say to myself, okay, I'm experiencing this symptom, but I am okay, I am safe, this will pass, then I'm starting to calm my physiology. If I do that 1,000 times, then it's going to be easier to do that response. So my client with pain as a result of a car accident 20 years previously, and I had a number of clients actually who've experienced pain as a result of some incident some time before. Then by teaching us some brain training techniques where she changed her responses, the pain went away. And what was really interesting, I've had a few clients and their partners, be it their husband, wife, was a doctor. So they were really fascinated by what they saw. They observed the training. So that's the first thing, to really embrace neuroplasticity. Related to that is strategy 2 is activating your wise self. There is a part of you that is wise, okay? That part of you has the capacity, as I've just talked about, to perceive symptoms as being, okay, this is information, this is feedback, okay, this is useful feedback that I can use, but I am okay, I am safe. I can reassure that part of myself that is feeling scared, okay? When we do that, and when we do that repeatedly, we're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the healing state, and that can help your body heal. And that's why I've had clients who've literally gone from being bedbound or using a wheelchair, some people obviously were less severe, to getting completely well. I always remember one client, I was in Norway, I was traveling to Norway quite a lot because my first client in a wheelchair stopped using the wheelchair after one day. And I know that's incredible. I found it really amazing and surprising. But as a result of her knowing lots of people who developed chronic fatigue syndrome as a result of the water being polluted, I ended up going to Norway 9 times in a year and training groups of people. And one person I trained had to lie down for the first 2.5 days of the training. And it was only towards the end of the training that she sat in a chair. And a few months later, she sent me a picture of her walking in the woods. All right. So third strategy is really getting good at connecting to your body, learning to listen to sensations, listen to your emotions, to be able to really feel those emotions, to process them and take action. When we do that, when we take appropriate action, we can experience a release of the sensations and symptoms and resolution. And this is a core part when I teach people the mind-body reconnect. This is a core part, teaching people how to be with the sensations, emotions, how to make sense of them and take appropriate inspired action. I was talking to clients this week. 2 clients were saying, I think if one of the clients, we've been working together for about 6 weeks, so we've done about 6 hours of work, and she's reporting that she's able to do, in fact, 2 clients this week who've reported they're able to do much more physically, climb up hills, etc. So it's really important because when we do that, as I was saying earlier, when we're, sorry, I realised I've been stuck on the slide. When we are able to really feel our emotions, experience them, make sense of them, we can get that shift. We can release all that tension that's in the body. Now your body has available energy to do healing work. Okay. So 4th strategy is to have some strategies for dealing with symptoms. I made a video last week where I talk about strategies for overcoming fatigue setbacks more quickly. And below that video is a link to, did I put the link below or did I share the link? I will check. To a playbook where you can create your own strategies to help you heal, so that when you are experiencing a setback, when you're experiencing symptoms, you have at your disposal some strategies. And I honestly wish that someone had given this to me when I had ME, CFS and fibromyalgia. So I see a few more people have joined. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Love to know who you are, where you are in the world. Okay. I've also made this, so I've created this Heal Faster playbook. Okay. So if you like that, check out this video, which I've linked below this video, and you can access that. All right. There's no charge. It's available to anyone. All right. And I've also created this video. We're talking about pushing back, how to stop pushing and crashing. So do check out that video if that feels relevant to you. Okay. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. I'm happy to share a simple little strategy to help you tune in to your sensations and emotions. If you'd like that, just put a yes in the chat. I'll just take a quick drink. And the other thing I was going to say is that twice a month I'm doing resilience group coaching, and you're invited. There's no charge. You're most welcome to make a donation, but there's no charge for that. The next time we're going to meet is on Thursday, the 30th of January. So if you'd like information about that, just put group in the chat. Okay. So Ines says yes. If you want more tips, do join my Facebook group. I post daily pretty much. If you need help now, you're welcome to have a free chat and we can explore what you need. So if you'd like that, pop the word chat in the chat. Okay, so all right, so Ines says yes. So I'm going to share a very simple strategy. So again, I invite you to close your eyes, but only close your eyes if it's safe to do so. I invite you to just take a breath in, breathe in through your nose as long as that's comfortable. Breathe into your belly, breathe out of your nose. Just letting your out breath be a little longer than your in breath. So I'll come back to that in a moment, Margaret. So I invite you just to tune into your body, and I invite you just to notice sensations in your body. There might be a particular sensation that is drawing your attention. I invite you just to focus on that. And as you focus on that sensation, without judgment, we're just approaching this from the perspective of the curious observer. Consider, what does that sensation look like if you were to allow it to show itself in some way. So an example of that is if I'm experiencing tension in my neck and shoulders, I might imagine it as a knotted rope. Okay, just what does it look like? Just use your imagination. And as you tune into that sensation, you can ask yourself, what emotion relates to this sensation? You don't have to force anything, you can just sit with that and see what comes up. So if I notice there's some slight tension in my neck and shoulders, I might tune in, what is that emotion that's related to that? Often in the past I've noticed that there's some frustration. I was frustrated with myself for being symptomatic. You can ask yourself, what does that emotion want to say? Oh, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm fed up. Just allow it to express itself. And you can take your time with this exercise. I'm just walking you through the steps, but I invite you just to pause the recording if you're listening to this again and just tune in, take time at each step. What does it want to say? And then the final step is just considering, okay, what action do I need to take right now? In that situation, I recognised I needed to forgive myself because I was just doing my best. So I invite you just to practice that exercise, which is just a way of focusing on what's going on. So Margaret says, can you mention sleep, nighttime? Good point, Margaret. More pain, exhaustion, less resilience. All I'll say right now is I have made a video on strategies for sleep. And it would be useful, Margaret, to know a little bit more about kind of what's going on for you. Is your sleep getting disrupted? Are you waking up? Are you finding it difficult to get sleep? So feel free to message me privately or leave a comment if you're okay with that, just so that I've got a bit more information. But yeah, certainly that's a very good point. When I had ME/CFS, when I didn't sleep well, that exacerbated my symptoms. Okay. So for me, addressing my sleep issues was important. And as I say, if you check out the video I've made on sleep, because I go into that in in quite a lot of detail. All right, so I won't go into that too much now because I have covered it. Anne is from Johannesburg. Thanks for saying hello. So I'm going to pause there. Okay, if you've got any thoughts, questions, comments, feel free to pop them in the chat. If you've got any topic that you'd like me to cover, again, pop it in the chat. If I feel like I've got something useful to say on that topic, I will. Otherwise, thanks for joining me. I saw there was quite a few people who joined. Nice to have you with me. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I did get a request from someone to talk about shame around having a chronic health condition. If that's a topic that interests you, just let me know. Pop the word shame and I'll let you know when that video is available. Dare to dream big dreams, okay? Keep going. Wishing you great health. Bye for now. See you in the next video.